Hey everyone, what's up? Artie here, and welcome to another episode of Age of Quarantine with me hosting. How does that sound? Oh, there he is. Let's see if we can get Anthony Roman to join in a really than before. And hopefully there won't be any delay or any stupidity. As you can see, I'm in my daughter's room. Ah, what's
Hello.
up, buddy?
See,
I'm glad we did a little test. That
I'm a
was good.
quick study.
How you doing, man?
Very good. How are you? That's a nice
Um,
room you're in.
Oh yeah, yeah. The router is in my daughter's room, so I figured
Oh,
I'd sit in here so we don't have delay or any bullshit. That
no, yeah, no lags.
no lag, just a bunch of stuffed unicorns.
All the unicorns.
So my guest tonight is Anthony Roman, of Radio 4 and Garden Variety. I always give the caveat before we start the interview. Anthony and I have known each other probably 28 years or something, I would say.
Sure.
And yeah, his bands are some of my favorite bands ever. His music has influenced me. Him as a person has influenced me into introducing me into some really great music that I would have never found before,
Yeah.
which in turn influenced me into playing some music I would have never played before. And Chris Enriquez wanted me to say as well that Garden Variety is his favorite band, caveat from Long Island, quote, from Long Island. I was like, dude, just say it's your favorite band. Why do you guys say from Long Island? It's fucked up. But anyway, so we're done with that. There are other things that connect Anthony and I that were semi-tragic and maybe uh, a bit difficult, but we'll get into that later.
Do we have
Um,
to talk about that on here?
well, we will a little bit, in a good way, because
Okay.
I have nice things to say about it. Anyway, live from my daughter's room here in South Slope, Brooklyn, where
I'm only
Anthony
a
used.
few blocks away,
I know what you. Well, you moved. You used to be around the corner.
but I'm pretty close still. 8th and
Yeah.
19th, so
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
You're super close.
We could have
Um,
met at Slope Park.
I know. I was worried that I was going to be at South, but I was worried it was going to be too loud. Um, but yeah, so the last time I saw you was actually just before this COVID shit happened at the playground, right?
Did we know? Were we talking about it yet? Was it
Uh,
coming or?
it was like I think it was kind of warm, so it must have been like late February, early March. I don't remember talking much about
I
it,
don't either.
but that was the last time we saw each other, and which is
Yes.
pretty funny that we saw each other in the playground. I mean, that's some bullshit dad stuff.
It's kind of the only place I see you, honestly, for the last 5 years or something.
I love when I was leaving and my daughter made a comment. She was like, "My, you dress just like my daddy."
Yeah, our shoes were the same.
Our shoes were the same. Yeah, that's pretty classic stuff. So, uh, let's jump right into it, man. Um, I was gonna show off some of my garden variety collection,
Oh, nice. You
some
have
some
records I don't have.
some first press action. Um, so you just had a box set come out.
Mm.
Was it
I made
actually?
myself a cocktail.
Oh, me too. I got
Oh, good, because I
cheers,
thought
bro.
you would have one. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
of course. I always
I
do.
didn't want you to have one alone.
Thank you. I appreciate that. This is the only way me and you can drink together, I think. Um, too much family responsibility. Although I have to run to the bar right after we're done, so I can
Oh.
make sure that
You guys are
everything's.
open?
Oh yeah, we've
Open
been
for
open for.
business?
I've been doing to go for 3 months, and
Mm.
now I just brought back some of the workers because we're doing the outdoor seating thing,
Right.
and our landlord gave us the back driveway, so we have like a shit ton of space.
Oh,
It's
good.
awesome. Yeah, it's all right. It's not paying the bills, but it's better than nothing, and luckily
Right.
everybody's cooperating. Anyway, I want to talk about you, my friend.
Oh, okay.
So you guys just put out a box set, which is long overdue. You
Yes,
re, do you, did you remaster both records, both albums?
I believe we did.
Yeah. Okay. So I listened to the remaster of Knocking, and that was today, and it sounded fucking great.
Oh,
Um,
good.
you guys were a really interesting band. I mean, did you guys meet in high school or?
No, I met Rizzo way before high school. I met Rizzo in kindergarten.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, because he lived around the corner from me, and I don't think he. I could be wrong. I don't know if he's on here, but I don't think he spoke English in kindergarten. So like, his family was Italian, and then I had my mother spoke Italian, and my uncle lived in my house, and he spoke Italian. So our families kind of knew each other because we were one of the few families I think that the Rizzos could talk to. So the families were like kind of connected, and then we became friends maybe in like third or fourth grade, but we met in kindergarten. And
Okay.
he was in a different class, but like we couldn't really talk to each other because of the language difference, but we were aware of each other from then.
And when did music get involved? Because Rizzo, I want to say for the record, that guy
He's
fucking
good.
rips. He
Yeah.
rips. He's
I
so
mean,
fucking good.
he did like the kind of the classic thing, like somewhere in sixth grade or something, like where you lock yourself in a room and you just practice. And he was like that guy that would never come out until he was done practicing and stuff. So
Yeah.
he got like really good, probably between 12 and 15 or something. And then I was playing with these other guys in high school who were kind of like a new wave. We would do like Melt With You and police songs and stuff like that. And because everybody else in my high school was more into like Motley Crue and Dokken, there was like a lot of metal bands, but that was like the only band that was like not playing metal. And we basically, the three of us in that band, I was like, I know this kid, he's great. And I brought Rizzo in. And that band kind of like started to move towards almost the things that Garden Variety were doing. But like it took a while because it was that period of like we were into REM and the replacements, and then you start digging deeper, 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 and kind of like you start arriving at the beginning, I think, of what Garden Variety was trying to do.
Right.
But we
So
couldn't really do it with those guys because I don't think they wanted to be as heavy and they didn't want to be as underground, and they were more like comfortable in the kind of college rock zone.
were you guys going to any shows? Like was it just like maybe indie rock stuff, or were you
Yeah,
too young?
we're going to see like replacements, Soul Asylum, Buffalo Tom, Skunk, things that CV's, Das Dom, and Skunk. Like I don't know, that stuff didn't really have a name then. It wasn't like indie rock, and
Yeah,
it
yeah.
wasn't hardcore. But like we would only go to CV's at night. We didn't go to like the matinees were one thing, but we were more like seeing like the Fire Hose and things like that. And then right in the beginning, Garden Variety started to go see the more DC stuff. I remember seeing Jawbox
Yeah,
and
well, that completely
Bazzi.
makes sense. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, you guys had a heavy DC influence, and it was like to me, I remember. I don't know if it was the first time I saw you guys was at the Right Track Inn, maybe.
No.
Um, no, maybe it was when we booked you at the Angle. I mean, we must have seen you before we booked you.
No, 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 no. Yeah, the first time I met you was at Carol's place, which was like our second or third
Oh,
show.
Jesus Christ, yeah,
You gave me your demo.
right.
Eddie. Eddie was the one I talked to the most. I met you, I met him, and I met Vinny Cigar was there, and he wanted to put the record out. And I met Norman that
Oh, I
day
remember
too.
that day because I met Norm
Yeah,
that day too. Yeah,
you guys
he was
played,
he
right?
was with Scott. Yeah, he was with
Yeah,
Scoots. Yeah,
correct. Scott was there.
and he actually handed me a copy of the Crucified fanzine that he was
Right.
doing at the time.
That's right.
Yeah, and I think he was in that fucking band with Jim Haidt at that time too, Ninth Circle or whatever it was called.
That I don't know.
Yeah, I can't remember. Oh, let's just scratch that. I can't delete that, but it's like you say that guy's name three times and he's going to show up at the Angle with a gun. Um, so yeah, I remember that show vividly. So who did you play with that day?
We played with Super Touch, but they weren't called Super Touch. They were called Crash Wagon because there was like a little period where they didn't have Mark Ryan, and they were kind of like going more melodic or something. And and Joe Graziano was the bass player for Super Touch. He died a few years ago, and he's older than us, but like he was somebody we knew a little bit from Valley Stream and stuff because he went to Central as well with Fred Armisen, and there was like a crew of kids that were into punk that were like whatever 5 years older or something.
Right.
So we played with Crash Wagon, and then Vinny asked us to do the 7-inch, Vinny Cigar. Like that's the weird thing. Like that show, there's people I met that day that I'm still friends with whatever, 30 years later.
Which is, it's so crazy. Yeah. I mean, we're still
Right,
friends, and it's
exactly. You're
like,
one of them, you know?
it's, I mean, that's the coolest part about the whole scene, and, I mean, you and I have had many a conversation about this sort of thing. Well, actually, I think we just did the last time I saw you, and, how nice that is, like what a cool feeling that is to be able to have made friends, for life,
Yeah,
and not really knowing it, you're doing it.
no,
It's a testament to, the punk and the hardcore scene, and just being a bunch of kids who didn't really fit in, but then found each other, and then we're like, shit, man, I don't want to lose you. So,
right, right.
but we all kind of fed off the music, of each other. And it was funny because you and I knew each other for a while, and Artie started booking you, Artie Philly started booking you, in the weirdest shows ever.
Yeah,
But Artie and I would talk about it, and we always wanted that to happen because we always felt like, if Neglect plays with another Neglect, it's just boring. But
yeah.
if Neglect plays with Garden Variety, it's fucking awesome.
Right,
And
but Artie Philly was kind of like sacrificing us too.
a little bit, but we were also being really selfish because we wanted to see you guys play. And and in all honesty, uh, without getting too sentimental, your legacy is long lasting throughout the Long Island scene. It's and beyond. I mean, you guys went beyond that, of course, but I was listening to, a song called Harvard, and that chorus of that song could literally be a Taking Back Sunday chorus. It I mean, it sounds just like it. It really
Okay.
does. And like, again, like the fact that we kind of threw the indie rock curveball into the hardcore world, that was about letting people be exposed to things that they would have not been exposed to before, and or they would have been, but it probably would have been a little bit later.
Right.
It's like in the evolution, how this works. Like, it's like you're into metal, then you're into, and like the progression hardcore, and then you get a little softer, maybe you get a girlfriend, oh my god, or a
Yeah.
boyfriend. Now you want to listen to something a little bit more sentimental. But you guys kind of drew the line. You guys blurred the line, should I say, between a lot of that music, because there was this noise factor to what was going on, especially on the guitars.
Yeah.
And with Gorelic's drumming was very chaotic.
Yeah.
Um, I always felt like you guys had this crazy mixture of like DC meets Dinosaur Jr.,
Yeah.
and just like mash it up, and out comes this weird combination, which is very, to me, Long Island in a lot of ways. Like
Yeah.
I felt geographically we were so separated and whatnot. But like, bring me back to putting out the first couple of 7 inches. I believe there was like the Hedge 7 inch, which I just showed, which
Yeah.
was the
That was the
second
first
one.
one.
I
Yeah.
thought this was the second one. This is the first one?
No, that's the first one.
Okay.
That's part. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
I
definitely
probably
the first.
did I buy this at Carol's place? Was it available?
No, no.
No,
Vinny
right.
was there and asked to put it out that day.
Okay, so it was
we had a
shortly after.
demo that Rizzo drew like a little picture of a plant on it, and that we were giving it out to that to people that we gave Eddie one. I remember.
Yeah.
And, I think that, yeah, if you had to kind of, the way I look at it is that 86, 87, that kind of like SST, Twin Tone, Homestead, Squirrel Bait, Dinosaur, early Buffalo Tom, Husker, obviously. That was like our thing. And then by 1990, 91, those bands had kind of like either broken up or got pretty more mainstream or something. And we were looking for like we wanted the aggression of their earlier records and kind of like the angst and stuff. So we found that in the DC thing, and particularly a couple bands, particularly Jawbox and Fugazi were the ones I think that we connected with the most.
Right.
And then there's other things that happen too at the same time. A big one was Drive Like Jehu. Another big one was Jawbreaker, and another big one was Unwound. Those three things for us, like I would take the band as kind of the combination of all that. And I think that Joe, I don't want to speak for him, but I'm assuming he was influenced by Trombino, and Rizzo was really influenced by like Mascis and John Reese.
John Reese, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
John Reese is pretty much the ultimate noise rock guitar player. I mean, the guy is
Yeah,
just, he's a
and I think
monster.
there's a sensibility to Reese that Rizzo shares, and that they also have a really good understanding of like rockabilly and like roots music and kind of like that. There's things that Reese can do that most of the other kind of like post-punk guitar players don't do, and Rizzo has that too. So I think that comes through. And then we tried to like, we had like maybe scroll bait replacement esque vocals.
Right.
It's my contribution, and then like put that all together, and I think that's what we were doing. And connecting with the hardcore scene, I think made sense because the community of it was something we enjoyed, and
Yeah.
the aesthetics of it, non-music aesthetics of it, we enjoyed. And I think it was like important for us to be part of something. We didn't, the college rock kind of thing turned us off because it felt like, I felt like it didn't have a point or like a moral kind of like focus or something. Like there was, that's why ABC No Rio was so pleasing. Like, and
Yeah.
kind of
Well,
like,
let's get on that because
yeah,
that's an interesting evolution of the band, because you guys were definitely the only band that was a part of that scene that sounded like what you guys sounded like, for
that's
sure.
right. Yeah. You there? You froze for a second. Hello?
There you
Yeah. All right.
go. Sorry, my phone was telling me that it's low on battery.
You gotta
The
charge up before
I
this.
know, dude, I did. I did. I think all our tests fucked it up. Uh,
Oh,
but you guys were immediately embraced by that scene, and I think a lot of that had to do with why I was drawn to that scene as well, which is just it was just a little bit smarter than a lot of the shit that was going on
yeah.
in New York at that time. And I think that like people who who were around ABC at that time were looking for other smart kids. It was also, as much as it was in the city, it was kind of suburban in its own way.
None of those guys were from the city.
Right. So
Very few of them. Yeah.
yeah. So it was like, it came off as very suburban to me. Even though like, we were getting shit from people like Neil, like, oh, these fucking guys from Long Island, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to do an English accent, but, but like, once I met Will and I met like Freddie Alba and like all these people were like just the best, the
Yeah.
best.
Yeah.
And again, lifelong friends and people that I'm glad that I own St. Vitus, that I could contribute and help bring them the stuff that they're doing, the creative shit that they're doing still.
Yeah.
So you can speak to that a bit. Please go
Well,
for it.
I mean, I think it's the same thing as kind of you were before them, I would say maybe a few months before, but it was kind of this thing where we were somewhat surprised to be embraced by, like, for lack of a better word, hardcore kids, but at the same time, it made perfect sense. And so we did that show at Carol's Place, and then we did a show at Queens College with no redeeming social value. And Will Tarrant went to Queens College, and he was at the show, and he brought Joe Martin from Citizens Arrest, and he brought this guy Charlie Adamek, who used to book shows there. And they watched us play, and then after the show, they were kind of like, hey, you guys are great. And we book ABC No Rio, I'm in Citizens Arrest. We knew who they were. And we were slightly surprised they liked us, but it was kind of like they had a much deeper understanding of other kinds of music than the ones they played,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
yourself. And I
yeah,
think that was the thing that was when you're young, you don't realize that. You're like, oh, they only like hardcore. Oh, they only like metal. But there's people that, can go beyond that way of thinking. And I think Charles Maggio and John Hiltz and Will Tarrant, and they're all wonderful people. And they were all very into the stuff that we were doing as much as they were into, corrosion of conformity or the hardcore stuff. And it was just the same thing as you. Like, you had the radio show and you would play hardcore bands, and then you always played us, and you would play stuff that was more melodic. You didn't just play stuff that sounded like Mind Over Matter. And I think that was the same way we were embraced by them.
yeah. I
But
mean, it's an interesting thing. I mean, I remember I had a party at my house, which I would have often, and you guys came over after a show, and
I
and
remember,
you,
yeah.
yeah, we like went up to my room and just started playing records,
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
was like it was super fun, and like I think we were both surprised by our sort of depth of musical interest, and
Exactly. Yeah.
and like that's and I think it's really obvious in your music, and one of the things that uh I always like like again, Garden Variety being a combination, Radio 4 as well, being a combination of a whole shit ton of things. And you know, I find that very to me that was musically attractive. There was an exploration there. There was an
Yeah.
interest in like you know like I mean you in Radio 4 you would almost lift entire passages of shit, which
Yeah.
in a lot of ways you know like in the same way that like I hate to bring this up, but like Green Day and American Idiot did, it's sort of a tribute
Well,
to
I
those
don't think
bands.
that's a bad comparison, honestly. But you know, I mean, that's down the road a couple of years. So
Yeah,
it's,
yeah. So back to Garden Variety. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, we were all kids, you know, and like it was, you know. So you guys go into the ABC No Rio scene, and you know, like, how much touring did you do at that time? Was it a
Well,
lot or?
that was, yeah. I mean, and the thing with ABC No Rio was that Vinny Verga, who recently passed away, was a good old friend of mine, and Eric Svierda from Farkas Affair and Last Crime,
Mhm.
now in Too Many Voices. Those guys took me to ABC first, so I actually had gone there a few times before the band was embraced. So, and I had met people there, and I thought it was interesting, and just kind of had like, there's something about it I really liked, and I liked what it stood for about getting away from kind of the tough guy element of New York hardcore and stuff. And even though musically, you know, I wasn't listening to the records, I was interested in what Sam McPheeters and Charles Maggio and all those people had to say and what they stood for. And I feel like that was when we got accepted kind of in that community, it was really easy for us to play places that just strictly being in the Long Island scene would have maybe not given us a way to do this. So we started to play at John Hiltz's house a lot. He had these kind of legendary basement shows, and that would make us like meet a lot of other people who we became, you know, whether it was Avail or Dolly Seed or Unwound or all these different people we became friends with that we wouldn't have met if we had just kind of stayed where we were. That the band was always, I think, ready to play Brownies, ready to play ABC No Rio, ready to play the PWAC. Like we just kind of whatever was out there, we were open to it, and I think that helped us.
Oh yeah, totally. And you know, it's like, and you did play Brownies plenty of times,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and of
And I
course,
don't think many of our contemporaries or peers from the Long Island scene did. You know, that was one of the things that we were able to do because we sound at that time we were
yeah.
able to do because we sounded more melodic. You know,
Right,
for
right, right. No, I
whatever
mean,
reason.
yeah, I mean, I know that just because when Aerotype started, you know, Mike Studo and who's the woman who booked Brownies who left?
Aaron,
Yes, she was the
she
one
was
who gave us a huge shot,
yeah,
and I
us
remember
too.
get like we played so many fucking times. We would play like weird nights and shit, and then eventually we started the headline, and it was like sold out and
Yeah,
fucking crazy. And like I mean, you know, we had Interpol open for us, we had Take It Back Sunday open for us, we had a fucking Saves the Day open for us. You know, it was always like a crazy night. But Brownies was a really special place, and I know. Um, I want to move forward to Radio 4 because Radio 4 is like such a special thing to me. Um,
and
uh,
Radio Four is much more a Brownies band than Garden
yeah, oh,
Variety.
totally. Yeah. Well, you guys work with Mike
Yeah,
pretty closely.
and we play there once a month. But I was just saying, kind of like getting in with the different scenes helped us because then we were able to put the record out on Gurn Blanston by knowing Charles,
Right.
and then we were able to like kind of book a tour because Gurn Blanston had a reputation with Rorschach Native, not you know a small reputation, but you kind of could get a show in every city on the strength of being on Charles from Rorschach's label, right?
Right.
So that we were able to like move through the states and we toured a fair amount on that first record because of connections that Charles had,
I mean,
particularly with like maximum rock and roll people like Lance Hahn and Lolly Donovan, and there's just all these people that you could Ben Weasel, all these people that we met through that kind of got us from here to there.
it was very, it's funny because that's very much like the cool kids, not kids, but the cool people that, you know, like a lot of the other bands from Long Island didn't really have a connection with
Right.
and couldn't really get to. I mean, even Matter Matter, like, you know, like we only ever toured in Europe because of the connections that we had through Rec Age. And, you know, it's like when you guys went off and did all that stuff, it was like, it was super cool. And it was funny because Artie and I were like such cheerleaders. Like, it's
Yeah,
like,
well, Artie
yes,
came
yes,
on the
yes.
tour, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and Artie was wonderful. I mean, it's yeah, I have nothing but good. I haven't spoken to him in about 20 years, but he was like, and that tour was exciting because, you know, obviously pre-internet, we were starting to meet people. We played with a lot of the San Diego bands, so we played with like Angel Hair, and we played with Clickitat, and we played with Antioch Arrow, and like we kind of saw this like heroin and then the post-heroin thing.
So fucking Gravity, the Gravity Records,
And it was fantastic. You
stand
know,
up, fall
and it was,
down, chain wallet
yeah,
bands.
but which doesn't work when you listen to the record now. But when you see it, you're like, wow, this is really interesting. And then we went up the coast with Unwound, and I don't know, it was just all this
That's
stuff
awesome.
that was like brand new
Yeah,
and exciting. You know, it was
yeah, yeah.
almost like they kind of took what Born Against was doing, added a little more theatrics and kind of that San Diego flavor, and it was great. And Sonny from Angel Hair and VSS became another close friend and ally of ours, which was he was amazing too. So that's all through Charles. Like I don't think that happens if we're not on Gurn.
Right.
Like, I don't think those people would book our shows and stuff.
Well, they would have never heard of you,
Right.
you
Right.
know. So it totally makes sense. And like there was a massive network that already existed,
Mm-hmm.
and that's, you know, that's awesome. It's like it's amazing that people got to experience that, and you know, like, and you guys got to experience that. It's you know, I'm not jealous anymore. I was at one time probably,
It's
but
I wouldn't be jealous of it.
no,
But
I
you
would. I
know,
mean, because like in all reality, that scene was actually incredibly small. It's very,
there was no one at the shows.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
So
know, I know. Like, and it's funny because like it gets so glorified, you know,
especially
like,
now.
yeah, big time.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, but, and it's crazy because like, you know, at Vitus, we'll have like some of these bands play, like not Antioch Arrow, none of the Gravity bands, but like we'll have some of these bands play, and I got to laugh where I'm just like, really, like
Yeah.
like this just sold out 2 nights. Like, are you serious? Like it's fucking crazy, you know. Like so, but anyway, yeah, it's a whole thing, and like that's amazing. So, what was the reason why Garden Variety broke up?
Well, so that experience was great, and then we got an offer to be on head. We started to do like kind of more, you know, slightly leaving the underground a little bit, and we
Right.
started to play like some bigger shows. I remember we played the Academy with the Boss Tones, and
Whoa, I didn't know that. Shit.
yeah, I told you about that. I remember I
Maybe.
saw you in yeah, because I went to see you. I'm always so critical of my memory, but it's really good tonight. And I saw you were playing in a place on Jericho Turnpike,
Oh
in
shit.
like Floral Park or New High Park or whatever that was.
Yeah,
And the
yeah.
next night we were playing with the Bosstones, and I told you, and you were making fun of me in a kind way, you know.
Well, it is Scott, and it's easy to make
Yeah.
fun of. But yeah, I'm
So
sorry. I'm sorry I made fun of you, dude. It's pretty cool that you played that show. Where was that show?
at the Academy.
Oh shit, dude, you played the Academy. That's amazing.
So there's like
It,
we started to play things like that. We went down to South by Southwest. We played a big show at Seaweed, like at Emos in the big room. Like we started to play these like things that were like a little next level. And then Headhunter wanted to sign us, and we were like, well, this is kind of going somewhere, and we could get to more people this way,
right.
in our small way of thinking. And we did that, and then that didn't exactly like work out as planned. And I felt like I started to miss some of the things that we had with Gurn and some of that community. And then I don't think musically we knew where to go. And then we did this kind of ill-fated tour with Into Another,
Oh God, I
which
remember
was a
that.
disaster in so many ways. And nothing to do with Richie and Tony, who were amazing. We got along great with the band.
And Drewski,
Uh,
I fucking love Drew. It's my
and Drew
boy.
was there. That's right, right. The only guy I never spoke to was the guitar player.
Yeah, he's very standoffish, but he's a cool dude.
And that was kind of like, and we weren't getting along, and I don't think we knew what to do. We had trouble writing, knocking the skill level. It took us a long time to get, and I started to feel like, you know, we were working ourselves into a corner like that weren't necessarily going to get out of.
Right.
I didn't know how to get out of it. And I was tired of kind of the limitations of the scene, I guess, is really like, I was like, if we're going to be on bills like this, like with Into Another, like this is just kind of, you know, we
Right.
spent like, it just, I don't know. It felt like it wasn't going in the right direction.
Yeah, it only takes one really weird, terrible tour to sort of make you start thinking about a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Especially back then. I mean, like, back then starting over was a lot easier than
Well, if you're
starting over is now.
24, right? Like it's not a big deal, to kind of pack
Yeah.
it in and think about what you want to do next. But also, like, I don't know that we had that many. I think the way music was going, like a lot of our kind of like our new contemporaries that were getting bigger and stuff. I think Promise Ring, Texas Ariza and stuff, which they're all really good bands, and our friends, and they were much more like melodic and kind of. It was a much more streamlined thing, I think, and
Yeah.
we seemed so like all over the place and kind of. I didn't feel like we were fitting in anywhere in some ways. Like we weren't musically in sync in our trio and then in the world kind of. And I just was like, I think I want to do something different right
Which
away.
is really interesting. So then when you like, because Radio 4 was so focused, like just, yeah,
Rules,
like,
so many rules. What kind of shirt you can wear, what you can wear on your feet, like what almost everything, like what you're going to think about, what you're going to say, and it was almost we had I wanted to kind of like strip it down to the really kind of basic thing. But the main thing with Radio 4 was that was two things. I wanted to incorporate some of the music that I had left behind from my kind of more new wave post-punk pre-Garden Variety days. Okay. And then I also wanted to be in a band that didn't have any restrictions as far as how big it could get or where it wanted to play. Like if we want to play here, we're going to play. If we want to be on a major label, we're going to be on a major label. If we want to, and I really wanted to go to Europe, and I didn't want to go to Europe like 8 weeks in squats and like I wanted to go to Europe and like play clubs and like
fuck you, dude. I had already done that like 10 times by then. Fuck you.
I know, and I was just like I wanted to do, I kind of wanted to do the Brownies and the Mercury Lounge of each city. And
gotcha.
I just there was just things I wanted to do, and it's not saying that Garden Variety couldn't do them, but I think it would have taken a lot of like just restructuring and really like conversations that I probably was too young to have. It's just it becomes like easier to just walk. You know how it is. Like
yeah.
I can't deal with this anymore.
So like on a side note, like I know you have a degree, right? You guys were in college during a lot of this.
I was in college in radio in Garden Variety, and like we were doing stuff in the summer and on the breaks, and then somehow I finished, and then we really kind of were hitting the road more, But we were able to do a bunch of stuff while I was in college. And Joe was maybe had just finished.
I was gonna say I know Joe has a degree. I don't know about Rizzo. He's a fucking wild card, but like yeah.
I don't think he does, but I don't remember exactly.
So Radio 4 starts, and so you, Greg, Tommy, is fucking ripping, writing a bunch of songs. It was, I mean, to me, the new song and dance was like a revolution when it came out. Like I was floored. I was an immediate fan. I might have been your first fan.
You were, and our second fan was your friend Pete.
Yeah, Pete Chicato, yeah.
Who I loved and I haven't seen in 25 years.
He works for Google and lives in San Francisco.
Okay, well, tell him hello. He was at every show, the first year or whatever.
Yeah, we were like, I mean, I was obsessed with it, and I think a lot of it was like, I'm gonna figure out where that riff came from. Oh wait, I just listened to that record. Okay, cool. Yeah. And you were also doing the record store at that time.
Correct.
Which is in this neighborhood on Fifth Avenue and 2nd Street, was it?
Yes.
Yeah. And that I love that record store. So can we talk about a little bit about that whole situation?
Well, that was like the record store. We had clothes upstairs. The record store was almost the vision of the band, like put in kind of like the brick and mortar of the band, like which was like we're gonna listen to a bunch of cool records, post-punk, reggae. We're starting to get into more electronic and dance stuff, and then we had the clothes upstairs, and it was like we're going to do this little business, and it was also going to be a hangout for the people in this new community. Because the weird thing, the reason I ended up in Park Slope was I was walking I was at a wedding in Seacliff, and I took a walk because I wanted to go outside to do something. I don't know. I was like, I want to get out of the wedding for a second. I was walking down the block, and I ran into Marlon from Three Ton Bridge. Do you remember Three Ton
Yeah, of
Bridge?
course. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I don't know. I gotta get out. I want to open a record store in Brooklyn or something." And he's like, "Why don't you try like Fifth Avenue and Park Slope?" And I was like, "Oh,
Random, which is
so
not a
weird."
great
And then
idea
the next
now.
day, me and Suzanne went there and got it and opened the store. Like, we met the guy who had the owned the building and stuff. And like, if I don't see Marlon, we don't go. Like, and the whole thing came out of that. And that became just, we got lucky that we were in Brooklyn, and then there was this kind of like Brooklyn Renaissance, and there was a bunch of cool people hanging out in the store. And Isaac Green, who ran Star Time Records, and that was like French Kicks, Walkman, a bunch of bands. That Brendan Benson, that was like their headquarters as well. He was always, and we just would hang out, listen to music, and kind of we figured out what Radio 4 should sound like in that way, almost like in a, in a like sampling kind of way, like where you're listening to records. It's almost like a David Holmes kind of thing, or Weatherall, or these people that would like just listen to a bunch of records and then be like, all right, we're going to write music like this, because we were doing a very, very similar thing. And that was the combination of that we were able to do a bunch of stuff so fast, because it was like you would just get a groove and you could lay on the groove, and then Tommy would come up with these great guitar parts, and then you just do a melody. We had so much chemistry in those first couple of years that
Totally.
I was thinking about it today. Like, me, Tommy, and Greg, we could write a song so fast, and because Garden Variety had so many parts, and it was like putting a puzzle together.
Yeah.
And Radio 4 was the opposite, which was freeing in a way.
Well, yeah, you were a bit more vocal driven as far as the changes went, and it was like, I don't know, like, how much you want to speak to the scene at that time that developed around that time, but you guys were very much part of the Interpol, Strokes, like that whole thing. And I remember always talking to you about, because we would see each other all over the world, and that was always super fun. Like, we were on tour. And like, oh shit, what's up, guys?
Yeah, see, in England and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was always amazing. And the thing that I like, I forget what I was going to talk about there.
Strokes.
Oh no, yeah. You would always say, oh fucking yeah, but that guy, what's it, Julian Casablancas? He's got such a great voice, man. Like, he's got a way better voice than me, and like, so there's a reason why they're more popular. And like, you would talk about like Interpol in the same way, and I'd just be like, come on, Anthony, fucking give me a fucking break. Everybody, like, but you were very sort of degrading yourself in a lot of ways. I mean, maybe that was just to me, but I was like, come on, man, like, you guys are the shit. You really were.
I appreciate that, but I mean, I think the proof is in the pudding. I mean,
I disagree with that. I mean, dude, marketing plays a huge part in that. If it wasn't for England, the Strokes would have never been who they were.
I know, but if it wasn't for England, a lot of the success that we had was embraced because we were embraced in England, and we were embraced because of the Strokes. This is the thing I'll say about the Strokes. I understand that they did not go on to have the career that maybe some people thought. They're not the Clash. They're not the Beatles. They're not the Talking Heads. They're not. But that first record is a great record.
Yeah,
and
it is.
Julian Casablancas has the natural abilities. Like, maybe his father's very wealthy and maybe he's very good looking and stuff, but he's a great singer. He's got great phrasing, and he's got that idea to kind of like sing slow, like a Sinatra thing, over this kind of driving music was just smart. And it was, I like it. And I like Interpol. I don't like Interpol 7 records in, but like, I think the first, well, I don't even know. Maybe they're making good records.
I have no fucking idea. Dude.
But Carlos is my friend, so I got to stay with Carlos, right? I mean, so when Carlos leaves,
that guy was incredibly pretentious, but an amazing bass player.
He's a fantastic bass player, and he's a good friend of mine.
He's actually an incredible musician in general.
He's so talented.
To have to see him wearing a gunsling with his cell phone in it, playing pool at fucking Hi-Fi. Come on, let's fucking figure this one out here. Anyway,
But no, I mean, I think that first record, and I think there's a bunch of records that came out at that time that are well worth whatever hype they received. I think The Rapture, I think House Jealous Lovers is a classic. You know, I think there's like a bunch of really great music, and maybe it was derivative and maybe it was this and that, but there was something about it that was fresh and exciting
Yeah,
and fun.
and it was fun, and it was a lot like, which I don't like a lot of fun music, so you know,
But
uh,
it was fun in a way without being like, you know,
yeah,
goofy or something. Yeah.
it had a little bit of a dark edge to it, so
Right.
that musically, which was good. But yeah, I mean, and it's interesting, like you guys. So you know, the new Song and Dance comes out, Gotham comes out. Um, you guys are kind of like going up the ladder. You're playing the festivals. You're around the world. You're doing all this stuff. I felt it was a really interesting move that you kind of wanted to go to this sort of dance oriented
Yeah.
idea. And I know like it made sense to me knowing you, where it was like, okay, he wants to explore.
Yeah.
Was there any regrets towards any of that, or was it just like, you know, because I know especially there was the one record that you guys put out that got slammed, but
Yeah.
which I think you recorded around the corner on 18th
That's right.
Street at the Met Arts
Yeah.
Building. Um, I,
Well,
I mean, talk about it, because it's
regrets.
interesting to
I
me.
mean, I think like, well, I mean, if you're going to put out a certain amount, like if you're going to be around and make whatever I've made, you know, 4, 5, 6, 7 records, eventually you're going to kind of screw up, right? You're going to make some kind of turn that's not going to be received so as well as other things you did. Do I regret it? Kind of. I don't think we played to our strengths by going in that direction,
Okay.
but I also think the bands I loved sounded different every time they made a record. So I was very influenced by that. And I
PIL,
think, you
PIL,
know,
yeah,
what's that?
PIL.
Yeah, or The Clash, or,
Yeah.
you know, I'm sure a lot of people didn't like Sandinista. You know, I was too young when that came out, but like, I thought it was important to try and incorporate these things and go in directions. But it wasn't received well. But a lot of bands from that period had trouble keeping the momentum up. Like everybody, like, you know, I remember running into Future Heads at a party, and they were like, nobody likes our new record, after they had that like kind of sensation. And it seemed, and the Strokes went through it, and the Rapture went through it with their
Well,
record after
I think that
Advent.
has a lot to do, like, especially bands that got praised by the English press,
They
like
turn on you.
they
Yeah.
turn on you. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I think some of my regrets are like, we definitely shouldn't have went that far into it, but some parts of me are like, we might have just kind of lost, we might have kind of fell out of flavor anyway. Like,
Right.
I don't know if it was like built to last.
Right. Of course.
Because most of our friends didn't last super long, you know, and that's the thing. Like the Rapture, like they made another record, no one liked it. Then it was like 10 years and they made another record.
Shit,
So,
dude, the Rapture played Matchless.
right.
I mean,
That's right.
what the fuck?
Yeah, in that period, right? Like
Yeah.
in the comeback period. So like, and Future Heads are another example. So I felt like it happened to other people, but the main thing I learned was that you got to figure out what you're good at, and we weren't good at that, and I wasn't good at that. And I feel like the songwriting style that I was, like, I could write like a Dance the Underground or Save Your City or something. I can write that like kind of quickly, and it makes sense, and it kind of like hangs together properly.
Right.
And then when I start to drift into other things, I don't have that's not where my strengths lie.
Right.
And I think that happened to Garden Variety too, was like the initial thing we were doing, I felt like I was really good at or adequate at, and then it got outside of my abilities. And so it happened with both bands.
No, I mean,
I didn't
like
learn my lesson.
it's okay. I mean, like it's nice to have lofty goals, and it's good to take the chance that you might reach it. Who knows? You know,
I think you have to.
Yeah.
I don't think you make the same record over and over. I don't. That's not the plan. But
No,
there
unless
may be
you, well, sometimes, you know, sometimes if you're uber successful, yeah, because you want to just keep the money flowing. You got a bunch of people below you that you have to pay and shit like that. But you know, like if you're in that position where you can be artistic, fuck it, just go for it. You know,
we
like
had money, we could make a record that we wanted to make. We could like fiddle around and stuff. But you know, Greg's a great drummer, and I love the way he plays. And the older I get, the more I love the way he plays. I just went to see him play with Rizzo and
oh yeah,
and
I
Kevin.
love that
And he
band.
was,
I love
they're
that
so
band. It's
good.
fucking great.
and
So
he was
good.
fantastic. And to replace or incorporate, not replace, but incorporate drum machines so much with when we had a cool drummer and a cool like.
Oh, dude, I hung out with him during that time, and he was just like, I don't know, I didn't fucking play on the record. What the fuck? He was so pissed.
I heard that.
He would like show up
Yeah,
at matches completely fucked up and be like, yeah,
yeah,
I don't know what the fuck I'm doing anymore. Why am I in this band? I only play drums. I don't fucking
I
know.
know. It was whatever. But that was also the record. I mean, we played on Conan and we were on Carson Daly.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
played
it
the
got the
biggest
push.
festivals of our lives, and while it maybe wasn't in the community received as well, it was kind of like we went to all the places I really wanted to go without criticism at the beginning of the band. I was like, I wanted to be able to play festivals. I want to be able to, if someone asks us to be on TV, I want to be on TV. Like, I don't want to have to deal with some punk saying you sold out. Like, I wanted
Yeah,
to
but
get
who
the
gives a
music
shit?
out there. Yeah, I
And
was
that's
done
funny
with that.
because that's like sort of pre-internet, like
Yeah,
like that you would even think about that because like now it's like such a thing. Like you can't get away with doing anything. Everybody flips out and writes about like oh blah blah blah. But like nowadays there's no such thing as selling out, so it's like doesn't really
right.
matter.
Yeah.
It's that's a thing of the past. There's two things I wanted to talk to you about
Okay.
before we get into your TV career.
Sure.
Um, Number one was the story of PJ falling 2 or 3 floors at the Columbia Hotel in London. I don't want to spend too much time on it because we only have 15 minutes left. But
Oh,
so this is the way I heard this story, and I'm going to tell both of these stories on my end. Um, so you guys were all partying. I don't know what festival you were playing or whatever. Maybe it was Reading and Leeds or whatever.
no. We played our first sellout show in London, and I
Okay.
think we sold out the garage,
Oh, sick.
which is like whatever 500 or something.
Yeah.
And it was our first time over there, and or second time over there, and we had this great show, and our record we got single of the week in the NME,
Oh
and
my God, that's so cool.
things were happening. And we were on MTV there. Like it was a exciting period in the band's life, and we overdid it that evening.
Right. But PJ fell like 3 floors and like just got up, right? Is
See,
that the story?
I don't really know. Like, I was at the bar at the Columbia Hotel with, after we were asked to leave the 333 because it was closing or whatever. And, Courtney Love was there. I remember Jesse Malin was there. Like, there was people there. I was definitely like, it was time for me to go to bed. Like, because I was like kind of not understanding what was
Well, the
happening.
bar didn't close at the Columbia, so
That's the thing. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going to go to sleep. And when I woke up the next day, PJ was in a lot of pain and couldn't figure out why. And then it took a really long time for us to kind of start piecing things together. But we called Paul at the Columbia, and he answered the phone. He's like, you don't know what happened last night. And that was what happened. Now, rumors are that Courtney Love was the person that found him. I don't know. I don't want to speak about it too much because I didn't see it. I only know that PJ got injured.
I think Greg saw it. I think Greg saw
might
it.
have seen it.
Yeah.
Because Greg was sober then and stayed up and just
Right.
hung out. Yeah. And could remember everything.
Okay, so other story is the thing that sort of was the demise of Radio 4, and I don't want to get too far into it. So one day I get a call from Greg Collins, and he's like, hey, man, we need to borrow a van. Do you want to lend us your van? We were recording, my band, Godfire's Man, was recording with Alex Newport in Greenpoint. And, so he shows up, and you guys borrowed my van for a tour you were doing with Head Automatica.
Yeah.
And you guys played 2 shows. Coming back from the show in Philly, you guys flipped the van and got really hurt, lost all your gear. Another family got really hurt inadvertently. And I remember waking up in the morning to a phone call from Greg, and he was like, dude, I got some bad news. And the only thing I want to say about that whole situation was that kudos to you guys for being a class act, for trying to pay me back for the van, because you guys had lost everything, and that was a real fucking bum out to me. The whole situation was a bum out, but I mean, I don't know, you like there's a lot of bands get have gotten a lot of publicity over the years for having really bad van crashes. You guys didn't really take advantage of that. And yeah, so yeah, you talk about that a little bit because it was sort of the end of Radio 4.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're into symbolism, or if you're into like what the stars are trying to tell you, it's like, well, you know, we destroyed our friend's van, we almost died, we lost all our gear, all our money, everything. Like, it kind of was maybe at that point like, this is definitely over, I guess. And the accident was like, you know, some of the people that were in that accident, I don't know if they've really ever fully
Oh
recovered.
yeah, well PJ kind of walked away, right? Like he
Yeah,
was.
PJ had a really hard time with that. I mean, I had just a kid, you know, I had Hudson at that point. Yeah, it was just became like clear that like this was maybe not a great world to be in, and where you're out late at night and people you barely know are driving you. I don't even remember the guy's name who was driving the van. So like, I was just kind of like, we got to get away from this. And financially, it was diminishing returns as well, as you know. So it was
Right.
kind of like, what are we doing, you know, really? And I think that was kind of the nail in the coffin, really.
Yeah, I mean, it was
Because we didn't have a record deal at that point.
right,
So,
right,
you
right.
know, and I always functioned with somebody behind us. Somebody like, every band I was in always had something like, every record I put out, somebody paid for. You know, I never was like, let's raise the money to do like, that wasn't like my thing. And I realized that it just was difficult to exist in that way, especially
Right.
as you get older.
Oh yeah,
As you
yeah. I
know.
mean, yeah, and especially having a kid and stuff, like you're like fuck this. I can't
Yeah,
live in this world anymore. I totally get it. And you know, and I felt so fucking bad for you guys. Like, I mean, I went through the rigmarole with all of that with you guys, like
I
the
know.
insurance
And
and
like what we
the
did to you and what we did to almost did to ourselves and what we did to our equipment. And, you know, I lost two basses. We lost your stuff. It was just so bad. I don't
it
really,
broke my band up for sure.
yeah,
And you know, so it broke two bands up. It was a fucking bummer, but like it's okay. It's okay. Like I really like you guys trying to pay me back for the whole thing. I thought that was such a class act, and like you guys. I mean, like I would never ever. You guys will always be friends of mine, and my daughter's screaming right now. I don't know about what. And
that's what they
yeah,
do.
it's not an issue. So moving on beyond that. So nowadays you you write soundtracks and do music supervising for TV shows, and you did the stuff for Mark Maron's show, right? The
That's right.
opening
Yeah.
stuff. So like, talk a little bit about that, because I mean I love when you tell me about the shit when we run into each other, because I find it's like the dream of being a musician, you know?
Yeah. I mean, after that accident, yeah, I kind of obviously started to really get into looking into that world, which started with commercials. And then somehow I ended up working on this teen film. A friend of mine's director, Brian Guyboff, and he, right after we finished this movie, Beware the Gonzo, which I scored with Jimmy from Elephant, we were like he was playing in Radio 4 a little bit at the end. We scored that movie together, and then he went to a TV show called Lights Out, which was on FX, and Brian like took me with him. And the showrunner of Lights Out was this guy Warren Light, who went on to run Law and Order SVU and Criminal Intent. He's really respected, and he became like a good friend and mentor for me, and kind of brought me into this world. And then I met Dennis Leary, and I worked on a bunch of his stuff, and I met Mark Maron, and it just kind of all these things connected, and those were gratifying, both, you know, financially helpful, and but also collaborative, and kind of like being in a band, because you're like you're coming up with an idea and a sound for a show together, you know, and I felt I get the same thing out of it in a way that I was getting out of playing music,
Are
and
you
I really
feeling
enjoyed it.
like from the COVID thing, like is there work coming back? Did it disappear completely, or like?
No, I kind of worked the whole time. The thing I was doing this year was through my connection with the Law and Order people, was I was doing the SVU podcast with for
Oh, right.
NBC and Wolf Entertainment, and that was a big job. And that because I worked on like Serial and some of the podcast stuff and This American Life a bit. And I kind of crossed over to that. And those SVU podcasts kept going most of the time through COVID. And then, so hopefully if SVU picks up, it's just like, there won't be that big of a break. But
did you meet Mariska Hargitay?
Of course.
Oh, fuck, is she sweet?
Very.
Damn it.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Yes. Awesome.
Yeah. And they're all wonderful. And Ice-T is wonderful. And it's great. It's great in a way that like, so I do this with them, you know, but it's not on video. It's just like we sit down and we break down the episodes and we break down their career and kind of like talk about how they got to where they are and what they want to achieve within the episode. And I love it. You know, I'm really, it's just a different thing, but you know, I don't miss the touring. But one thing I wanted to say about music is that right before COVID, me and Rob from Savak and Michael Hampton from Faith and Embrace and Benny from Gaslight Anthem had a band, and we were getting ready to play. So that was
What's that band called?
It doesn't have a name yet. We've just been calling it Quads because that was the coffee that Hampton always got, because it's like a 4-shot espresso.
Quads.
But that was kind of like I was actually playing music again for the first time in a really, really long time. Yeah. And it was guitar-based kind of punk and almost like maybe like a Wipers or something like.
Yeah, I mean that I was doing some similar stuff before this all happened, and like when all this went down, it just everything kind of felt pointless. Yeah, you know, you just kind of like especially owning a music venue and stuff. You're just kind of like, was this all just that fragile? Was it that fragile?
Well, I mean, that's how the van accident felt too. Like, you know, that's the thing. It does feel fragile, but I think that what you did with the club is important. And I think, you know, you can't dwell, like, can't think of it as like in such a negative light, but it's very easy.
I don't. I just like, you know, like you go back and forth. I mean, the first month that this was happening, I was pretty much drunk the entire time and just depressed and didn't really know how to deal with it. I mean, it's like I'm losing everything all of a sudden. And then I kind of woke up and I was like, I don't need to lose everything. I can do stuff. Yeah. And you know, it's like, but I couldn't write and I couldn't play guitar. It just all felt kind of trite.
I couldn't do a thing for Quads until Hampton called me yesterday and he was like, all right, let's get this thing going again. And so I think we're going to start like, you know, kind of over the internet, make it, but neither one of us could do a thing. And
well, having the kids home.
I know the kids.
It's
but
like
continuing in my luck of fantastic guitar players, Rizzo and Tommy Williams and David Malone and now Michael Hampton. So I've been blessed to play with some great guitarists.
Fuck yeah, you have.
Yeah, and I don't know why either.
Well, because you write good shit and they want to write with you, so that's cool. All right, so we're 2 minutes away from downtime. They're going to cut us off.
Who cut you off? You on
Instagram does.
Oh, okay. You froze. Okay.
No, that
so
was my phone telling me that I only have 10%.
If I walk over,
if you walk over to South,
you're there.
In 45 minutes, I will be there. Because
how do I get a socially distanced cocktail from you?
You can sit outside.
All right, I'll come by.
Right.
You there every night?
No. Well, I'm there to close every night. Yeah, the open and close. I'm working on Sunday. Anybody want to come by? I'm there on Sunday. From 2 to 10.
All right, I'll come see you.
Yeah, dude, I love you. Thank you so much for doing this.
You too.
Age of Quarantine.
I'm thinking about you all the time.
Oh, dude, you're the best, man. And
you and Joe Heron, my bar owner friends. I'm glad you're both open.
What about Dave Moo? Come on, you got to consider Dave a friend.
I love Moo. I love Moo, but I don't worry about Moo.
I don't either. He's doing everything. He's doing everything right. I was just there the other day. He's doing everything right.
Yeah.
It's fucking awesome. All right, kid. Thank you for watching, kids.
Bye, Artie.
Bye, Anthony. Love you, dude. Later.
Take care.